What's going on? What's going on? It's the Tamale Mafia podcast, the place where everything and nothing collide.
You can't bring me to my knees again.
I am your host, Aaron, and it's just another Monday in the Tamale Mafia universe. Yes, it is. What's going on, my people? What's going on? Oh, man. So, it's been quite an interesting week. Look, man, I wear glasses, right? And, you know, I've had contacts before, and sometimes I wear contacts, but not that often, especially right now. Look, the last few weeks, you see this? I've been trying to deal with this allergy season, and I know when I listen back to the podcast, and I'm like, man, it sounds like you've got a mouthful of rocks. So I apologize for that. I am trying to drink some tea, today. I'm recording this at night. Yeah. So I'm trying to drink some tea this time to keep the old pipes loose because this allergies thing is real obnoxious, and so I apologize if my voice has been grating. I also apologize because I realized over the past couple of episodes my audio has been messed up. I have fixed that. I've been slowly piecing a studio together and coming up, finding new equipment and new ways and better ways to do this. But I used to record this thing and then edit in all the music later, and that it's hard to get into the feel of it and really interact with music whenever you're just pretending it's there and then adding it later. And it makes for like fading in and out and transitions and stuff really difficult. So that requires a lot more editing. So what I'm doing now is I've pieced together a studio where I can produce everything as it's happening, and that requires much less editing on the backside. So I really just got to cut out like major failures, where I'm like paused for an extended amount of time trying to type something in, or there's some kind of background noise that I'm contending with, and that's a distraction, and I got to cut that out because it just took too much time to let it pass or whatever. So there's very few like major edits that happen now. But anyway, in the process of all that, I realized over the last couple of weeks that my audio has been messed up, and so it's been split left and right, with my voice on one side and the music on the other side. I'm supposed to fix that in edit, but I have forgotten the last couple of episodes to do that. And then when I listen back to it, I'm like, oh, yeah. So what I did was I went out and I got a couple of things to solve that problem. So hopefully we're not recording on separate sides of the studio here. We're on both sides at once. So that'll cut down my editing time even more. I don't know. I know you guys don't really care about this stuff, but I started out saying that I normally wear glasses. And what had happened was the other day, Friday, I was on my way to work and I was on the early shift, and it was like, when I say early shift, it's just me. My boss is like, the chief will be like, hey, when do you want to work? And I tell him, basically, it's kind of how it works. He gives me a target, and then I land somewhere in that target. But we had some special requests, really, for some people were like, hey, can you come sit in front of my house early in the morning? Just, for security purpose or whatever. So I did. And so I was like a 5 a.m. shift, and it was like I saw a raccoon the whole time I was out there. But I had that raccoon on radar at 3 miles an hour, so I pulled him over and told him he needed to slow it down. But anyway, so what had happened was I was on my way to work and I was fiddling with my glasses, and it was 5 a.m. I had maybe gotten a couple hours of sleep. I maybe wasn't thinking straight. I don't know. I did something, I moved something, and it popped, and like my glasses broke. And I was like, okay, great. So I went to work blind, which I'm not super blind, but enough for it to be like, is that a raccoon or a dog or a cat or a bear? What am I looking at? A small child? I don't know. And I got to take a closer look, you know? So that's not cool. But what I did was I was like, oh, yeah, I got some contacts, right? And so I put the contacts in, and dadgummit, man, if these contacts, one was like good because I had one that had not opened, and I had one that had been opened. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how I ended up with one that had not been opened and one that I don't know. But the one that had been opened was a mess. It like I stuck it in my eye. It was burning. I was like, oh, it's probably got fungus on it, you know. I tried to wash it. I stuck it back in my eye. It kept falling out. It was just a mess. My eye was all red. So I today sometime I had this contact in, and something like my eye was itching or something, so I scratched my eye and I felt it like shift. I was like, oh no. So you know that feeling where it's like now you got something in your eye and it sucks because it's not in the right spot and it hurts really bad. So I went upstairs and I pulled it out because I was gonna reset it, and it was like in pieces. So I was like, okay, now what? Well, I looked in the old mirror, and I didn't feel too bad about what I was seeing. So I kind of looked around. I was like, oh, I can still kind of see. And lo and behold, I went the entire day with one contact in and one contact out, kind of walking around like one-eyed Willie. And it's okay. It's not too bad. So I think I'm going to do the one-eyed Willie thing. I think I'm going to do the one-eyed Willie thing maybe until I can figure out how to get these glasses fixed, or just run down to the old place and see if they'll hook me up with some emergency contacts to get me through the week until this thing gets fixed. But anyway, that's that. Yeah, hang on. Let's see. We need some tunes, guys. We ran out of tunage. Okay. We ran out of tunage. Here we go. Hey, man, did you know that you can find the Tamale Mafia podcast on Spotify? Huh? Did you know that, man? I mean, I don't know what you're listening on. Are you on iTunes? Podcast Addict? Do you want to switch over to something else? Are you like, hey, man, I'm listening on iTunes, but I can't freaking stand iTunes. I wish this podcast was on something else. Well, guess what, buddy? You're in luck. You can go over to Spotify. You don't like Spotify? Try Podcast Addict. You don't like things that say that have to do with addiction? Go to Overcast or SoundCloud. Hey, or you can go over to YouTube, search up the Tamale Mafia podcast, and find our YouTube channel and listen there to the audio version And maybe soon we'll have a video version. Maybe. But hey, if you needed more information about the Tamale Mafia podcast, you can go to facebook.com/Tamale Mafia and you'll find nothing about the Tamale Mafia podcast other than links to the current episodes. But, whatever you need. Dude, and before I go any further, I just got to remind you, please like us, share us, comment, tell your buddies, send a link on over to your ex-mother-in-law. Be like, yo, bitch, check this shit out. All right, that's enough of that. I don't know why I have to do that, but I'm told I do. And who told me that? I did. Okay. So, what's been going on? What else has been going on? Oh, yeah. So, one of the things that's probably going to be become a normal part of this podcast that I haven't really talked about too much yet is that my son is obsessed with fishing. Dax, who was on he's been on episodes here before, co-hosting. He's obsessed with fishing. So, if I'm not working, sleeping, running errands, or doing some yard work, I'm somewhere fishing, because that's all he wants to do is go fishing, which is fine. It's a good hobby. It's a healthy hobby. It can get expensive, but it's really not that expensive of a hobby. If ever need be, then we can switch over from the catch and release program to the catch and dinner program because, well, daddy's got to eat, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, so we go fishing a lot, and we've got several now places that we go that we like, depending on the weather, depending on the kind of the distance, where we're headed, if it's on the way. We've got things, places that we can go. And so we've got this kind of new spot that we've been hitting. It's like a city park, but it's got a really nice pond that's really active. So when we're kind of like, do I really want to go sit on the bank and wait it out and wonder, if they're hitting or not, we can go to this city park where they're just, there's a lot of action there most of the time. And it doesn't get too crowded. So we go over there, and it was kind of crowded, man. And so I was like, dude, I hope it's not too crowded because the weather's beautiful. And if it's crowded, we may not hang around. We may try to find a hike over to the other side or something. But there's got this really nice dock pier kind of thing that's covered with benches, and it's just real convenient to sit there and fish. Where you don't have to hike and kind of get back in the woods and stuff. So we go down there to the little pier thing, and it's not too crowded. There's a couple of people sitting there, but what I didn't realize was that these people that were sitting there were waiting for somebody else who was coming with a bunch of other people and a bunch of fishing gear. And so luckily we kind of perched in there first. We got in there first. And if you're familiar at all with fishing etiquette, you don't just walk up and take somebody's fishing spot. So if I'm standing in a spot fishing, it's just courtesy that you don't walk up and stand right next to me and fish in my hole. You know what I mean? You got to get I don't know what the rule is, but over there somewhere, go over there, just get out of here. And so this guy, he came down and he had a bunch of kids with him, and he seemed maybe a little bit annoyed. I don't know, maybe if we were there, he was like, I'm going to go back on the other side. This guy like professional gear. He had Bluetooth headphones, like over the ear headphones. Like, I don't know what he was listening to, if it was some kind of like be the fish, something in his head. Are you at a pond right now? Can you see the water? Does it look inviting? Anyway, I don't know what he's listening to, but he's got these Bluetooth headphones. He's, so he trucks off across the pond. He shows up on the other side later. Meanwhile, there's like a lady, and she's trying to get these kids to figure out how to bait their hooks, and they're all like, what do we do? And there's like an older teenage guy, maybe young 20s guy who's there. He's kind of like trying to help them out. And they're just fishing, They throw the thing in, their line in, immediately yank it back out. They're just kids. They're just doing their thing. Anyway, from across the pond, you see the dad guy. He caught a bass, like a nice sized bass, not huge, a nice sized bass. Immediately, all the kids are like, "We need to go over there. That's where the fish are." And the mom was like, "Well, go on, get your stuff and go over there." And so I was laughing, man, because I was thinking, what is this poor bastard just wanted to go fishing. And I was just thinking back, I was telling Dax, like, this is how this guy, can you imagine how his day started? I mean, he was like, oh, it's my day off, busting ass. Boss has been riding my ass all week. I'm under stress. I got traffic. I got project deadlines. Oh man, I just want to go fishing. And as he says that, the wife was like, if you go fishing, we're all going fishing. It is family fun day. I just could like picture him like just diminishing his spirit. Just, ooh. It's family fun day. If you want to go fishing, we're all going fishing together. And then there was like an old lady there too. So I was thinking grandma, right? Oh, and by the way, my mother called. She's coming into town. She'll be here at 2 p.m. We're just going to wait for her, and she's going to go with us. She packed a lunch. This poor bastard just wanted to go fishing. Just get some like clean air in his lungs. Just whatever, his Bluetooth headphones just pumping positive messages into his head about his worth, his self-worth or whatever, you are a man. You are intelligent and you're handsome and you're loved. He's just trying to pump his head, whatever his messages into his head, or his Kenny Loggins or whatever he's listening to in his Bluetooth headphones as he's jigging for bass. And he just looks across and he's like, he's standing there on the little pier, on the little dock area. And he's got all these kids just, Dad, what do I do? Dad, hey, Dad, come here. Dad, can you help me with it? And it's just like, he's just like looking across the pond. And he sees this area on the direct opposite side of the pond. And he's just like, I need to be there. That's where I'm going. And he just goes. He's like, family fun day, but I'm going to take a walk around the perimeter. He tells her, I'm going to take a walk around the perimeter. And she goes, okay. And so he takes a walk around the perimeter. He ends up on the exact opposite side of where the family is. He's over there fishing, having a grand time. I can imagine he's just like, oh my God, this is really what I needed. And then he catches this fish. He's like so excited. He catches this fish and he holds it up. He whistles across the pond to his family and he holds up this fish that he's so proud of. And all the kids are like, we're going over there. And the mom's like, yes, get all your stuff and go over there. I was like, this poor guy, man. All these kids are gonna invade his little quiet space, and I could just see him like turning up the volume on his Bluetooth headphones, man. Next thing you know, the whole family migrated, and there's like an area not at where he was where he caught the bass, but if you go like a quarter of a way back around the pond to the right, there's like a flat, I think it's concrete. It maybe have been like designed to be a boat ramp at one time, but it's not used. It's just a piece of like kind of concrete there. Anyway, he was standing over there, and you see all the kids. The wife was over there, the dog, the grandma. They were all over there now. They're all on this piece of concrete. The kids are screaming and hollering and just creating a ruckus. And this this poor guy, I looked at Dax. And I said, Dax, look how far away how far on the edge he is. His family was like all on the concrete. This guy, like, I swear to you, he was ankle deep in water. He was like as far away from the family as he could possibly get and still be on that piece of concrete. I was like, in 10 more minutes, this guy's going to be waist deep in the water. Oh, that poor bastard. I just felt so bad for him. I was like, that's not how he planned his day. He just seemed so defeated and so frustrated to be there. They were in separate vehicles. Like, everybody came in different vehicles. So it was like, the guy probably left the house and was like, hey, I'm going fishing. And then maybe the wife was like, oh, you think you're just going to leave and go fishing like that? We're all going. And then she just loaded everybody in the car and was like, followed him over there. I don't know, man. It seemed really like it was not what he wanted his day how he wanted his day to go. And so they all packed up and left, right? Well, he stayed sitting in his truck in the like little grass parking area way after everybody else left. He just was sitting there just staring at the sun. I was thinking, this is my life now. Ah. Oh man. But yeah, we do a lot of fishing. And so tonight, like I said, I'm recording this on Sunday, but so it's Monday for you, Sunday for me. Sunday, Dax and I went to this private pond. This kid, he was like, if he sees a pond that he wants to fish in when we're driving around, he'll just remember it. He'll go back there. Like there's this one pond, a really nice pond that's kind of near where he lives. He just rode his bike over there and knocked on their door and was like, hey, can I fish in your pond? And they gave him permission, and they're real nice folks. They give him pancakes and stuff when he goes over there. Anyway, we were over there fishing tonight. That's where he wanted to go, so we go over there fishing, and we're going to fish for catfish, and that was kind of the plan. Well, Dax has this rule that's because he wants to make sure that the bait is taken, and he wants to make sure that that hook is ready to be set, and it's not just a fish chasing around or kind of nibbling around. He wants to make sure the thing is set. So his rule is, if your line is being tugged on, then you can't touch that rod. If it's sitting up leaning against something or laying on the ground and that starts to move, like the line starts to tug, you can't touch it for 3 seconds. There has to be a solid connection of pull, like a solid pull for 3 seconds before you can grab that rod and set that hook and start reeling in, okay? And it normally works. I mean, it's like, I would say 99% of the time it works. He catches way more fish than I or anybody else that we're ever around. Usually he's just pulling fish in like crazy, so he knows what he's doing. But so he's got this rule: you can't touch the rod for 3 seconds. You know, if it just kind of tugs and pulls a little bit, like a little tug, and then nothing, then don't touch it. Just leave it. Anyway, so we're hanging out there. He had my knife. and he was whittling on a piece of stick. He was making a shank. Okay, I don't ask any questions. I don't know why he's making a shank, but he's making a shank. And I had my rod set up, and I was like on my phone or something. Yeah, I was playing a game on my phone, and this I see his fishing pole start to move, like sliding across the ground towards the water. And I was like, "Hey, dude, your rod's moving." And he just kind of looked at it, and it just started. There it goes again. It's like takes off, like towards the waters, like the water's edge, like it's just going. And I go, "There it goes." And we both just stood there and watched this thing just go into the water. I was like, "What the?" Like immediately, within like a half second, I see this blur of a gray t-shirt, red shorts, and brown skin just fly past my periphery and cannonball into the water, into the pond. Just, I mean, he was like, went from just watching this rod just into the water, and then he just flies. He took like a two-step thing and just flew into the water and did like a cannonball. And then his little head is bobbing above the water, and he's like, "I got it." Oh, he's like, "Oh, I got it." And he starts to come back, and he's like holding the rod up, and he's trying to get back up to the shore. And he's like, "It has a fish on it. I got the rod and the fish." And so he starts reeling in. He pulls in this really nice, like 3-pound catfish. It was the funniest thing ever, man. I was crying. I was laughing so hard because I was not expecting, first of all, for him to just stand there and let his rod go in the water. I was like, "Why did you just stand there and let that happen?" And he was like, 3-second rule. I wanted to make sure that the fish was on. I was like, "Damn, dude, that is some dedication to your craft, right?" I mean, if your rod's going in the water, I'd say the water's edge is where the 3-second rule ends. I mean, I don't know how many seconds it takes to get from dry land to in the water, but if it's 3 seconds, that rule's over, But man, it was a lucky day for him and that that fish, I guess, because I mean, otherwise his rod would have been in the water. That fish would have been trekking that thing around. Oh man. But yeah, he jumped in, and I mean, I don't even know how he timed that, but he was like, "Well, I didn't guess fish are that fast." I was like, "Really?" He was like, "Oh man, yeah, they are pretty fast." I was like, "Damn, dude, that's pretty wild." But hey, where's my hang on. Where's okay. Yeah. All right, man. I'm going to take a little break here. When I come back, I want to talk about the idea of the word immerse and why I have it tattooed on my arm. All right? Right after this. Yeah, man. Where can I find the podcast I'm listening to? How do you not know? Come on, somebody tell me. How do you not know where to find this podcast if you're listening to me right now? Is it any good for me to tell you where to find it? If you're not listening, you're not listening, right? I mean, come on. It doesn't make any sense. But everybody does it. Did I tell you we have a new YouTube channel? Where you can listen to the audio. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Podcast Addict, Overcast, SoundCloud. Overcast and SoundCloud, are they kind of like, Was Overcast like, I don't know, something there? Stormy? Is there a Stormy podcast player? Stormy Sounds. And of course, you can find us on our host site, shows.pippa.io/Tamale Mafia. I can't read. And for more information about the Tamale Mafia podcast, find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Tamale Mafia. If you don't know how to spell Tamale Mafia, I'm sorry, but I'll help you out here. TAMALEMAFIA. All right. Enjoy this tune from Bensound. All right, man. So I got this tattoo, and here's what I was kind of thinking about it because Dax's dive into the water reminded me of why I got this tattoo. Not because he dove into the water as a younger child or anything like that, but the idea of going all in. Okay, being committed, being so committed to what you're doing, to your cause, to your thing, that you completely submerge yourself. Submerge? Yeah, submerge yourself. Submerse. Ugh. Time for some tea. Who's calling me? Hang on. Hello? Yes. That's me. Jason. The original. The one and only. Dude, I'm 33 minutes into recording my podcast episode for tomorrow. Yeah, man. But, dude, I mean, I'll take a break for Jason Alcorn anytime. Get back into this. Oh, where were we? Man. So my phone rang, and I answered the phone, and it's a buddy I haven't talked to in a long time. And we talked for like 2 hours, like an hour and a half. And so I have no idea where I was at when I left off, when the phone started ringing. But I think I was just about to start talking about the idea of immersion and how Dax's little dive had reminded me about the idea of going all in, like being completely sold out to what you're working on and what you're a part of and what you want to do. So the thing that matters to you the most, you go all in. But so I have this tattoo on my arm that says immerse, which is like the idea of going all in. But when I got the tattoo, it had a little more, a lot more of a spiritual kind of meaning behind it. And I won't really go into all that, but the concept, I guess, is what I want to hit, because what happened with me,